I lived in an orphanage for 4 months before being adopted. My biological father didn't raise me. I was reunited to him when I was 30, about 20 years ago. So I guess that makes you about 50. My father doesn't want to talk to me, and I find that difficult. However, he's a loner, and so am I. So I kind of get it, but I want it to change because I feel rejection from my birth parents, even though I now get along with my birth mother. Relationships with women are hard. How do I get through all of this? There's a lot packed in here. I'm going to do my best. I might have to break it into a few sections. Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing about your orphanage in the first 4 months. I mean, we get imprinted in those first 7 years of our life, and the first 4 months, it's very basic needs that we have for survival and love and unconditional love. And so you may not have received that. I don't know the conditions of your orphanage, but we do know as little humans when we're not in a family unit that's, coddling us and just like really, really caring for us. What comes to mind, and I have a feeling you might know this, is that there's a gratefulness in being an orphan in an orphanage that one could have if you want to trust that your biological parents did not feel they were equipped to care for you. And there's a huge blessing for you in that. I'm not saying this is your exact situation because I don't know your situation, but some kids that don't get given up and aren't put into an orphanage are sexually abused, are at drug parties, are neglected, are sitting in dirty diapers for days. And being in an orphanage could have been the best possible thing for you at the time. Yeah, it didn't give you that strong security blanket of that foundation of being in a family unit, which we all, love to have. But it gave you a sense of survival and probably makes you a really strong-willed person today. But when the ego takes over in that strong will, you come from the mind, not from the heart. And there's a huge difference here, right? So it comes to mind, I don't know if you're familiar with Wayne Dyer. He's now passed, but just an amazing soul. I don't remember how long he lived in an orphanage, but he was definitely an orphan for, I want to say, like several years. And now, when he spoke in his adult years, he came to a place of realizing how valuable that orphanage experience was to him. And without going into details of his story, because I actually don't remember all of it, I'm just suggesting that there are many people who find those early years of sort of suffering to be some of their most instrumental years because it gave them a toolbox and a skill set that served them. But there's also a time where I think that toolbox, because it's very much survival oriented and ego oriented, doesn't serve us any longer either. Or it needs a tweak, it needs a key, it needs to be unlocked because we find ways to sort of manipulate people and systems and places and things so that we don't lose love. We don't want to lose love because we know what it's like to feel alone, subconsciously most likely, because at 4 months you may not remember consciously what you were thinking now, but subconsciously, when someone came and loved you, man, you wanted to hang on to that love. And then when somebody hurt you and dumped you by the side of the road, and I don't mean literally, could be your adoptive parents, that they came in, they rescued you, and you just, oh man, I just feel so rescued, whether you were 5 months or 5 years, that feeling of being loved, and then probably having another experience of abandonment set you right back to that feeling of, I am all alone in the universe. So it's interesting that you say that your father doesn't want to talk to you and that he's a loner. You learned how to be a loner at 4 months old. You learned how to navigate without probably the same level of attention that most kids get that have a mom and a dad that are doting on them. And you're still playing out that program. So work on blowing up that program, because your father is now reflecting that same program. And again, there may be a real soulful purpose, I'm sure there is, to your father not speaking to you. Number one, because he may not be in a good place. Number two, he may not be able to provide you the type of relationship that you really want and need. And number three, all relationships are just mirrors reflecting to us something about ourselves that we want to heal, or back to wholeness. We're always whole. We're always perfect and whole, but we don't see it that way because our mind is in the way of understanding our innate true self of who we really are. So your dad is a blessing. He's giving you a great opportunity to feel and to experience. I would also let him go, in the sense of, don't put a lot of emotional energy into he won't let me see him, and put the energy back into you as to why are you a loner. Because honestly, like, nobody really wants to be alone. Anyone says that they want to be alone, like, I get it. I like alone time too, but we want to be in community, because there's a chemical that we all humans have, and it's called oxytocin. And the counterbalance to that is cortisol. And oxytocin is something we all desire to have because it's love. It helps us feel love. It's called the cuddle hormone for a reason. And we all know what cortisol does. It creates anxiety, fear, and just a general icky feeling. We do not want to be in high cortisol levels. We want to be in high oxytocin levels. And we get that in relationship with others. And it can be as simple as eye contact with the barista at Starbucks when you say, thank you for making my coffee. And they look back at you and they go, thank you for drinking my coffee. And there's just that connection, that moment of validation that you are here on planet Earth and that someone sees you. Don't give up those little opportunities for people to see you because you want to be a loner. So you can say, I can survive. I can do it on my own. No, that's an old program. That's the program that you got instilled from a very young age that you are calling to blow up. You set that program up. You chose those parents. You chose all of this. Always remember that. So just keep going back to, why did I choose this? How do I see it differently? And you're going to start changing your own energy. And when you change your own energy, hey, you never know, your dad might just give you a little jingle. But don't be attached to his behavior. Stay focused on how you want to feel, because how you want to feel is how you're going to feel. And then you will start attracting other relationships. And maybe it ends up that it's some other man that's around your dad's age that comes into your life, and it's just a beautiful example of a male bonding experience that's like father and son. It may not have to be your biological father. Let's not put so much weight on genetics here when it comes to, how we are able to express ourselves and share and give and receive love. All right. In the comments, let me know if there's anything there that you want clarified, or it's something that resonates, whether it's your question or not. I so appreciate you joining the show. I would love for you to go to bethbell.me, because there are so many resources for you there. There's everything from the psychedelic resource guide, the herpes handbook, the awakening and healing handbook. There's the angels, herpes, and psychedelics book, of course. So much more on there. So bethbell.me, check it out. I look forward to seeing you next week, Sunday, 11 a.m. on Pacific time, here on the YouTube channel at Beth Bell Live. So wishing you much bliss and love on life's journey, and see you next week.